So welcome to Pure Yoga Restorative Flow and a very Merry Christmas to you all. I've got 2 cushions similar size that I may use throughout the practice, so if you grab yourself some cushions. I've got a slightly more comfortable mat, so if you haven't got anything that's like this Thai mat, then maybe just pop a blanket over your own mat at home and maybe lay your mat on a carpet just to give you a little bit more comfort for the joints. I've got my Namaste sweatshirt on, I've got my red yoga leggings, and I've got my thick woolly socks to keep me warm. I've cranked up my heating and I've got my pretend crackling fire on my TV. Obviously I have my Christmas tree, I've lit some candles, I've set the scene for the next few 45 minutes, maybe a little more of restorative yoga. Let's see how it goes. So when you've found yourself and set the mood, maybe you want to switch on some Christmas music, maybe you want to just have this in quiet, whatever works for you. We're going to be starting with laying on the floor. So bringing your feet to the front edge of the mat, letting the feet drop out to the sides, widen the legs, and then just bring the shoulders down to the floor, the head down to the floor. And if you wish to support the back of the head using one of the cushions, just to place underneath the head, but just make sure it doesn't lift the head too high. Lift up through the pelvis and then tuck the tailbone towards the feet. Bring that lower back onto the mat again, and then maybe just give those hips a little rock from side to side. Once you've found a comfortable space around the lower part of the back, the sacrum and the pelvis, bring the hands down by the sides of the body, just slightly away from the body, with the fingers gently curling, relaxing through the shoulders, creating some space across the chest, pushing those shoulder blades into that floor. Take a close of the eyes. Take a nice, long, deep breath in through the nose and a long sigh out through the mouth. Take another long breath in and a long breath out. Do a few more breaths like that, filling up the belly with air. So feeling a little lightness and lift on your inhale. And then letting all those muscles, those tension spots relax as you breathe out. Letting the floor support you. Those eyes are maybe closed, maybe just listening to either the crackle of the fire on this video of mine, or maybe just listening to those soft music. Maybe you're listening to those Christmas carols. Just taking a few moments to arrive on the mat, become present, be in your space, knowing that this time is 100% for you, with no distractions. If thoughts come into the head, take notice of them. Try not to overthink them. And the way to bring yourself back present is bringing yourself back to your breath. Take a scan of the body from the top of the head, down to the fingertips, down to the toe tips. Just having a check-in with how your body feels at this point in time, the here and the now. Starting to open the eyes. Maybe just remove that cushion from behind the back of the head and then just let the head settle on the floor. Bring the feet together. Then bring one knee at a time in towards the chest. And as both knees arrive in that position, take a hold of the knees. Bring the forehead into the knees and squeeze the knees in towards the chest. holding in that nice, comfortable stretch of the back of the body, compressing through those hip flexors, lifting up slightly through those shoulders, a contraction through the front side of the body. Just holding it here just for one more breath. And then let the shoulders release back down to the floor and the head. Take a hold of both knees with either hand and just make circles with the knees in one direction, as though you're drawing circles on the ceiling. Nice and slowly moving around those hip joints, moving around those knee joints. Then take those circles the other way. Nice and controlled. Really feeling into that movement. Really feeling inwardly into the body. Those sensations that these stretches will bring. Holding on to your left knee, let your right leg come straight on the mat. Let it settle to the floor. Bring those toes back towards the shins on the right foot, back towards the shins on the left foot. Then straighten up with that left leg. Take a hold of the back of the leg, lift the shoulders away from the mat and just bring that chest a little closer towards that left thigh. Pushing the left heel away, straightening up through that back of the leg, that hamstring, those calves, those Achilles. And bring that chin a little into the chest just to support the neck. Holding here just for another few breaths. Breathing nice and easy into the belly. Relaxing through the shoulders. Then bring the shoulders and head back down to the floor. Take a bend into your left knee, placing your left foot down to the inside of the right thigh. Then let that left knee drop out to the side. Keep the hips facing up, maybe placing the hands on top of those hip bones. Finding your legs in a tree position, but in supine, so we're not balancing. We're just allowing that left hip to open in external rotation. Stretching through the inside of that left thigh. Take a check-in with that area. If anything you're holding on to is present, just try and let those muscles release. Maybe those eyes are closed. Maybe the eyes are open and a soft gaze to some soft light or candles. Or maybe towards your fire. Breathing easy. Breathing deeply. Then bringing that left knee back into the center, the left knee into the chest. Bring your right knee to join the left. Bring your hands onto the right knee, straighten out the left leg, bringing it to the floor, left toes back to the shins, right toes back to the shins. And then straighten up through that right leg, bring the hands to the back of that right thigh, push the heel away, lift the shoulders away from the floor, tucking the chin into the chest, bringing the chest a little closer in towards that right thigh. Straightening that right leg as much as you can, pushing the right heel up to the ceiling. Relax the shoulders, relax around the jaw, relax around the forehead and the cheekbones. Quite often if we hold tension somewhere else, we'll bring that tension into the muscles in the face. Just try and let all those muscles relax. Maybe noticing the area of the back of that right leg and whether that tension's tight there. Just bring the awareness to that space and breathe the out breath into that place. See whether you can let go of that tension. And then releasing those shoulders back down. Bring your right foot to the inside of the left thigh, hands onto the hip bones. Let your right knee drop out to the side as though it's coming into tree leg position. Hips stay facing up. And that right knee, the weight is stretching through the inside of that right thigh. Just letting gravity take a hold. Try not to hold anything in that space. Bring your awareness to that outside hip, the inside thigh on the right leg. Noticing whether there's tension building up there. If there is, just try and relax out of it. Let go of the tension. Then bringing that right knee back into the centre. Bring both feet in towards the bum. Have the feet hip width apart and the knees hip width apart. Feet pointing forward, hands now come to the floor, palms facing down. Push the shoulders into the mat. Create some space at the front of the chest. Create some space through the back of the neck and then push into the feet and slowly raise up with the hips, sending them up to the ceiling, the chest coming towards the chin. The squeeze of the bum as you arrive up high with those hips. Try not to let the knees drop out to the sides. And then slowly let those hips come back down to the floor with control. Feeling each vertebra come down onto the mat one at a time. And when those hips arrive back to the floor, we're going to take it up again. Push into those feet, lift up through those hips, send those hips up nice and high. Squeezing the bum as you raise the hips, creating space at the back of the neck, bringing that chin into the chest, pushing the shoulder blades down into the floor and feeling like you're squeezing something in between the knees as the hips lift high. Then slowly again bring those hips back down. Nice and controlled with the movement. Once those hips have come low, bring your right foot onto the top of the left thigh. Let that right knee turn out to the side, right toes back to the shins, and then lift the left foot away from the floor. Keep pushing the lower back into the mat, bringing that left knee in a little closer. And without lifting through the shoulders, maybe take a hold of around that left thigh, using your right elbow to push that right knee out. Your hands to draw the left thigh in. Breathing into the space that feels tight. Maybe you feel it on the outside of that right hip. Through that piriformis band of muscle. Use that right elbow maybe a little more to push that right knee out. Or maybe use that right hand onto the right knee to get that external rotation of that right hip a little more. All the time relaxing through the shoulders, relaxing through the jaw, the cheekbones, the forehead. And then pointing that left heel up towards the ceiling, stretching through the back of that left leg, toes of the left foot, bringing back to the shins. Holding it in that figure four with the right leg and the straightening of the left leg. Where is the tightness for you? Go internally to the sensations you're feeling as you hold this pose. Then releasing that left foot back to the floor, your right foot back to meet the left. Taking your left ankle on now to the right thigh. Bringing your left toes back to the shins. Turning your left knee out. Then bringing your right foot away from the mat, pushing your lower back into the floor. So a little bit of abdominal engagement as you bring that right foot away. Then either interlace the fingers behind the back of those right thighs. But if you're lifting through the shoulders and the neck, maybe just bring your left hand onto your left knee to push that knee out. If you've interlaced the fingers, use your left elbow to push the left knee out in external rotation.
Drawing that right thigh a little closer into the chest. Breathe into any spaces that are tight. So just finding some relaxation of those muscles. Holding these poses just a little longer than normal to allow those muscles just to give a little more in their range of movement. Then point that right heel up to the ceiling, the right toes back to the shins, stretching down those Achilles, those calves, those hamstrings, into those glute maximus, the bigger bulk of muscle on the bump. Getting into the glute medius on that left hip, the outside glute, that slightly smaller muscle than the glute maximus. Keep relaxing the shoulders, relaxing the jaw, the cheeks, the forehead. And then releasing that right foot back to the mat. The left foot back to meet the right. Maybe bring those arms out to a T shape. But first of all, just place a pillow in between the thighs. Squeezing that pillow in this space. And then just let those knees drop over to your left side, moving your hips slightly over to the right. Squeezing that cushion. The chest stays facing up to the ceiling, the hips turn to the left. So we have that rotation through that waist. Maybe take a gaze towards your right hand to get that full twist of the spine. Keeping that spine nice and healthy. If you feel your little pinch in that lower back, maybe just try and lift the lower belly up slightly and tuck the tailbone under to stop that pinch in that lower spine, and maybe just to engage those abdominals a little. Keep pushing those shoulder blades down. Feeling this rotation through the back on that right side. Feeling the stretch along those oblique muscles on the right side also. Then bringing those knees back into the centre. Move the hips a little over to the left side. And then bring your knees down to the floor, squeezing that cushion if it's in between those thighs. Maybe taking a gaze now to that left hand. Still keeping the chest pointing up. The hips are turning, and just relaxing everything in those lower limbs. Having a check throughout the body, making sure you're not pinching that lower back. Again, if you are, take a lift of the lower belly and a tuck of the tailbone to create some space in between each vertebra of those lumbar spines. Taking those long breaths in. And those long breaths out. Bringing those knees now back to the centre. Bring the hips back into neutralised spine. Take away the cushion. Bring the knees together in the centre. Feet out to the width of the mat. Maybe cactus your arms now, palms facing up if it's comfortable for the shoulders. Without the feet moving from mat width apart, let the knees drop over to your left side, your gaze over to your right side. And just feel that stretch coming through that hip flexor into that right side waist, maybe into that quad on that right thigh. Again, bring the attention to the shoulders also. Sometimes those shoulders start to tense up. Just let them relax. Let everything in the face relax. The lower limbs relax. Maybe you're holding tension around the kneecap as you let those knees drop over. Try and let every muscle give. Break that tension. It's all about restorative rather than active. Bring your knees then back into the centre, your gaze back up to the ceiling without moving the feet. Just let the knees drop internally to get a little internal rotation of the hips. And then taking your knees over to your right side, your gaze over to the left side without moving those feet again. This time feeling the stretch down that left waist, into that left hip flexor, into that left thigh. Maybe the gaze is towards that left elbow. Breathing in deeply, breathing out completely, sending that out breath to anything you're holding, any tension spots. Those fingers, if you're in cactus arms, are gently curled. Not trying to hold any tension through those forearms, those biceps, those triceps. Let gravity do the work to let those arms relax. Then bringing those knees back into the centre. Bringing the knees in towards the chest. Giving those knees a squeeze, wrapping the forearms around those shins, squeezing those thighs into the chest as much as you can. Then taking a roll onto your right side, placing your hand of the left just by the side of the cheek, and then pushing into that left hand as you raise the body up. Turn the chest towards that front edge of the mat. Bring yourself into a seat with the legs long. If you wish to sit yourself on a cushion to elevate the hips, feel free to do so. The toes coming back towards the shins. The shoulders relax down towards the hips. Maybe your second cushion you want to place just underneath, on top of the thighs, underneath the belly. And then just start to fold the chest over that cushion. Just bringing the hands to wherever they reach. Stretching through the hamstrings, relaxing through the neck. And just letting that whole spine curl in this forward fold position. Feeling that tension release as you breathe into those spaces of tightness. It sometimes takes a while for these forward folds to feel comfortable, but the support of that cushion under the chest, the support and lift of the hips from the cushion under the bum, just makes this pose a little more accessible. If you wish to have a little bend into the knees, just bring the feet in a little closer, bend to the knees, and then just let yourself settle over those thighs. Think about those shoulders. Are they starting to crease up towards the ears? If they are, relax them back towards the hips. Listening to whatever you have of sound in the room. Maybe it's your fire. Maybe you're listening to those Christmas carols. Then starting to lift up through the chest. Removing the cushions. Making your way onto your hands and knees. Just bringing the heel of the hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, tops of the feet flat, widen the fingers. Take a breath in, lift up with the head, lift up with the tailbone.
Sink the belly to the floor. And we're going to hold it in this cow position just for a few breaths. Feeling that stretch across the belly, up into that rib cage, up into that chest. And just try and encourage those shoulders down. Maybe the lift of that gaze a little higher. Stretching through that neck. And we're going to take it into the opposite direction of cat. So start to bring that chin into the chest. Start to roll through the upper back. Start to tuck the tailbone. And feel that stretch through that space in between the shoulder blades. That space from the top of the neck all the way down to that tailbone. Into those glutes. Let go of the neck. Then bring yourself back to a neutral place. Take that cushion and just place it underneath where the chest may fall. Walk the hands further in front of you and then let the chest sink onto that cushion. Maybe the chin comes to that cushion as well. And just take yourself into puppy dog pose. Trying to let go of anything around those shoulders, those necks. The hips stay high. The toes are intact. Listening to those sounds in your room. Maybe you're listening to the sounds of the outside. Breathing easy. Expanding those rib cages on the inhale. And contracting those intercostal muscles in between those ribs on the exhale, squeezing all those air out of those lungs. Starting to lift the chest back away from the floor, walking the hands in a little closer. Make the knees wider. Maybe bring a cushion onto the top of those heels. And then slowly let those bums come back to the heels or the cushion. Bring the forehead onto the cushion in front. Just finding a more supportive child's pose. The arms are long, or maybe those hands are coming underneath the cushion to create a diamond shape with the arms. Whatever feels most comfortable through those shoulder sockets. Taking those thoughts internally. Those little sensations of the internal body. Maybe noticing muscles give to the stretch. And just removing the cushion from underneath the head. Walking the hands over to your right side of the mat and just let the chest sink to the inside of that right thigh. But let that forehead come to the floor if it reaches. Breathing into that rib cage on that left side body. Stretching that left side waist. Maybe you feel a little tightness through the hips. Bring the awareness there. And then just try and let those muscles relax.
Walking the hands back through centre.
Taking them over now to that left side. Maybe bringing your right hand on top of your left, sinking your chest to the inside of that left thigh. Relaxing into the space. Creating that length and elongation on that right side body. Breathing your breath into that right rib cage. Checking in with those shoulders. Are they creeping up or are you trying to keep them relaxed? Check in with the space around the jaw, the cheekbones, the forehead. Those facial muscles relax. Then bringing yourself back to centre. Just take a breath out here in neutral spine. Then bringing yourself up onto your hands and knees again. Remove the cushions to the side. And then bring the hips down to the mat. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. Widen the fingers. Push those hips into the mat. Create some space between the vertebrae. Just finding Sphinx pose. Lift up the gaze to the ceiling. And then drop that gaze to the floor. Stretching through the back of the neck. And just let that head hang. Create a little tension, a little traction. Push into those forearms, push into those hips. Push the tops of the feet into the mat. And then let everything release. Then lift up the gaze again. Lift up through the chest, create a little more space there. And then gaze up to the ceiling, lifting the chin away from the chest. And then let that chin come back in. Relax through the back of the neck. Push those hips into the floor, tops of the feet into the mat. Squeeze the bum. And then let those muscles relax. So bringing the chest now to the floor. Bringing the hands by the side of the chest. Bring the feet together. Take a bend into your right knee. Bring your right hand behind to grab a hold of that right ankle. Turn that shoulder of the right out and push those hips in. And squeeze that right foot as close towards the bum as you can take it. Just holding it here in the stretch of the front of that right thigh. If you wish to bring that left hand just down by the side of the body just to relax that left shoulder. Push those hips in a little more. Bring that right foot in a little closer. And then release that right foot back to the mat. Bring your right hand out to the side, shoulder height, left hand back to the side of the chest. And then roll your body onto the right side. So you get to stretch through the front side chest. And then if you wish to take that left foot up and over, lifting the left knee to the ceiling. Getting a little more stretch through that upper side of the chest, right side of the body. Maybe the eyes are staying closed through the whole of this practice, which is absolutely absolutely cool. It makes you switch in a little more internally. Being aware of how those little sensations work within your body. More awareness of your range of movement, your restrictions, but also the abilities to move the body, your ability to use that breath to change your range of movement. Rolling back onto the belly. Bring your right hand back in. Take a bend into your left knee this time. Bring your left hand around to grab a hold of the ankle of the left foot. Turn the left shoulder out. Push the hips into the mat and the left foot in towards the bum. Feeling the stretch along that left quad, front side of the left thigh, into that hip flexor, maybe a little into that left side waist. Maybe bring that right hand down by the side of the body to relax that right shoulder. Keep pushing those hips in. Keep squeezing that left foot back. Be aware of all those mini sensations within the muscles, within the joints. Then releasing your left foot back to the floor. Bring your left hand out to the side, hands at shoulder height, right hand by the side of the chest. Roll over onto your left side body. If you wish to take that right foot over the left leg and point that right knee up to the ceiling, just to create a little more stretch, maybe a little more stretch through that right hip. That right hand supports you to keep the body rolled over to that left side. The head's relaxed, the jaw, the cheekbones, the forehead. And you're breathing easy. Just enjoying this restorative practice of yoga. Sometimes we do everything too active, and sometimes you need to rest and restore that body, bringing it to a parasympathetic state of the nervous system, calming the mind. Just being present as you hold these poses. Then bring that body back to centre, belly to the floor. Bring that left hand back into the chest. Tuck under with your toes. Push into the hands. Bring the chest back to the thighs. Bring the foreheads to the mat. Feeling that stretch along the waist. The stretch on the bases of the feet. Then coming up onto the hands and knees, untuck the toes, walk the hands a little further forward. We're just going to take some hip circles just to get a little mobility around those hips. So bring your hips forward to the heel of the hands. Then start to take the hips over to the left side, back towards the heels, over to the right side, back to the heel of the hands, and again over to the left, back to the heels, over to the right, back to the heel of the hands, taking it in the opposite direction, over to your right, back to the heels, over to your left, back to the heel of the hands, and again over to your right. So one more in this direction, noticing how those sockets of the hips are moving, the sockets through the shoulders are moving. When you get back to the heel of the hands, Walk the hands back towards the knees, keep the toes untucked. Bring the seat towards the feet. If this is a little pressured on the knees, maybe just bring a cushion underneath the bum and then bring those hips back down. It just gives a little more space for those knees. Bring the hands onto the top of the thighs. Take a close of the eyes. Relax the shoulders. Grow tall through the spine, up through the crown of the head. Just taking a moment here in kneeling. Then making your way into a seat. If you wish to sit on a cushion, feel free to do so. Bring the feet in towards the front of the mat, bums into the centre. Take a bend into your left knee and bring that left foot over the right leg. Hook the right elbow around the left knee. Bring your left hand behind your back. Breathe in, find some elongation. Breathe out and find some rotation. Keep using that breath. Keep active through that right leg. Right toes back to the shins. Straight through that right leg, bent through that left knee. Squeezing that left knee in towards you as much as you can. And coming back through centre, just take the twist to the opposite side just to counterpose the twist. Then gaze back towards the front of the mat, straighten out that left leg. Bring a bend into your right knee, right foot over the left knee. Bring your left elbow to hook the right knee, your right hand comes behind. Active through the left leg, breathe in, elongate, breathe out and rotate. Maybe feel those micro movements happening as you breathe into those spaces of tension and using that out breath to release that tension out. Then bringing the shoulders back forward, turning back around to the left side to counterpose the twist. Then bringing yourself back to centre, turning the body to face the long edge of the mat and widening the feet out to the sides. So we have a wide space. Again, you can sit on a cushion if you wish. You can bring a cushion just into front of you to rest those forearms on. Take a breath in, and on your out breath, just find a little fold from the waist. Maybe bring those foreheads onto one cushion, maybe onto stacked cushions, and just let the body fold over those thighs and to the inside of those legs, relaxing through the head, relaxing through the shoulders. Feeling that stretch on the inside of that thigh. Wide leg, forward folding, seated. Just enjoying those noises around you. Enjoying those little sensations that are happening within the body. Noticing whether you're feeling a little more relaxed, a little more restored. Keep bringing the focus back to the breath to stay present. Present within those sensations that are happening internally.
Then lifting back up through the chest.
Just removing any cushions in front of you. Bring your left heel into the centre. I'm not mirror imaging you here. And just allow that left heel to nestle into that groin. Bring your right hand onto that right shin. Maybe you want to bring that cushion just into that inside space. Lift up with your left hand and reach over to that right side of the mat. Just stretching down that left side waist, keeping the chest facing forward. Elongation, inhale, and that flexion to the right side on your exhale. Lifting back up through the centre. Just release the cushion out of the way. Bring your right foot either into the left hand or the left crease of the elbow. Bring your right knee into the right crease of the elbow or the right hand. If it's in the crease of the elbow, interlace the fingers. Keep the spine nice and tall and just rock that body a little from side to side. Rocking the baby, getting into those hips. Using the strength of the muscles in the back to lift up tall. Maybe keeping those eyes closed. Then releasing that right foot back to the mat. Take an interlace of the fingers underneath the sole of the right foot. Lift up through the chest. Find a balancing point on the lower part of the spine. And then push that right heel as much as you can to straighten through that right leg. Maybe your knee is still fairly bent, that's fine, so long as you can feel a little stretch down the back of that right leg. You're doing what's required. If you can straighten fully, make sure you don't hyperextend and lock out in the joint. Just take it to a straightness that feels that stretch along the hamstring. Then taking a bend back into your right knee and bring the heel of the right foot now into the groin and stretch the left leg out to the side. Maybe bring that cushion to the inside of the left thigh. Reach up with the right hand and take it over to the left side. Keeping that chest open, feeling the stretch down the waist on the right. Keeping supported by that elbow on that left arm. Maybe you just need to use the elbow on that left leg. Whatever works, whatever feels comfortable. Use the props if you need to, discard them if you don't. Then lifting back up with the shoulders, remove the cushion to the side. Take a bend into your left knee. Either bring that left foot into the hand or the crease of the elbow on that right side. Left knee into the hand of the left or the crease of the elbow on the left. Stay tall, rock that body, get into that left hip. Maybe close the eyes. Notice where those sensations of tightness are and breathe into that space. Then releasing that left foot back to the mat. Take and interlace the fingers underneath the sole of the left foot. Bring the balance onto that space of the lower spine. And then start to straighten out with that left leg, pushing the left heel up, left toes back to the shins. Try not to go into hyperextension. Try not to roll through the spine. Keep tall, keep strong, but relaxed. Feel that grounding and stability of the mat, of the earth, but the lightness and lifting as you breathe in, the grounding as you breathe out. Taking a bend back into that left knee. If you wish to sit yourself on a cushion, feel free to do so, but find yourself into a cross-legged position. If you need to bring a cushion in front of you to fold over onto, so one foot in front of the other, and then just allow the body to fold over those feet, bringing your chest either onto cushions, maybe stacked cushions, and just take a few moments here, just relaxing over those thighs, keeping both sit bones grounded, rolling through the spine, relaxing the forehead, the jaw, letting those tongues relax from the roof of the mouth. Take a nice long deep breath in through the nose and a long sigh out through the mouth. Just doing that a couple of times before we take the swap of the legs. Starting to lift back up through the torso. Swap the legs over, so bringing your right foot in front, your left foot behind. Maybe stack those cushions again to find that relaxation and start to fold. Maybe you feel one side's a little tighter. When you first go into a cross-leg position, you'll go to your favoured side. So when you take the swap of the legs, quite often you'll notice some tension build in the outside of the hips, the glutes, maybe into the thighs, maybe into the lower back. Breathe into that space. Starting to lift back up through the chest. Place the hands on top of the thighs. Grow tall through the spine, up through the crown. Relax through the shoulders, close the eyes. Bring your right thumb onto the right nostril. Your index finger, middle finger into the forehead. Your last two fingers at the side of the left nostril. Alternate nostril breathing. Take a breath in through the left. Close the left off, out through the right. In through the right. Close the right off, out through the left. Keep that going to your breath. Balancing those left and right sides. Bringing our body, our mind, our breath into an equilibrium. A rest and restored state. A calm of the nervous system. Taking it from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Slowing down with the heartbeat. All tension subsided from muscles. That connective tissue has been stretched. Getting rid of that fuzzy felt feeling of the body. The next time you take your breath out of that left side nostril, Bring the hand back to the thigh, keeping the eyes closed. Bring the hands to the chest, palms come together. Rub the palms to create some heat in the palms. Then place the palms over the eyes, blinking into the palms. Allow some light through the fingers. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Bring the hands back to the chest and a soft gaze to the floor. And just take a moment here to find some gratitude in your life. Maybe gratitude for a person, maybe gratitude for an experience. Have peace in your thoughts. Have peace in your words. Have peace in your hearts. From my heart to yours. Namaste. Have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from Pure Yoga, Helen Rowe.